There are over 45,000 of them in the United States. 11,000 are children.
Though you might see them daily, they will never see you.
Though you might call out to them, they will never hear you.
This is the story of 3 children who have lived for 4 years in quiet darkness.
They are loved. They are cared for.
They are cherished and adored.
They laugh, they live, they explore a world of shapes and textures.
A world of scents and tastes.
A world of faith.
This is their story, though they cannot tell it.
Just north of Houston, in a town called Spring, Texas, there lives a family whose lives are somewhat removed from the ordinary.
Where unique challenges, selfless compassion, and patience are simply part of the daily routine.
Liz Hooker is a mother of 4. This is one of her daughters, Zoe. Zoe doesn't know what day it is. She doesn't know what time it is. She doesn't know that she's being filmed.
Zoe only knows that what is happening now is part of her routine, and she only knows that her mother is guiding her through it because of her mother's smell and the feel of her face.
These are 2 of Liz's other children, Sophie and Emma. The 3 are triplets. All 3 are deafblind.
George is the girl's stepfather. Sarah is 9, the oldest of the 4.
I have 4 daughters. Sarah's my dreamer. She's a visionary. She's my artist. She's a really sweet child. She's got the best heart. She's rather spiritual. Zoe is the oldest of the triplets, and she's a wild child. She's almost like a little boy in the fact that she just likes to be dirty. She likes to get into everything and rub food in her hair and just, you know, she's just kind of, I think she's going to be a mud wrestler. And Emma is my prissy little lady, and she doesn't like to be dirty or hot. Likes to sing all day, and she's just prissy. Sophie is my scientist. She likes to take things apart and put things together and figure out what makes the world tick. I hardly remember life before the triplets, but it was pretty typical.
Right after high school, I moved from my hometown to a fairly larger town, about 40 miles away. There was a college in the neighboring town to that, and that's where I met Liz. And I'll never forget, a friend of mine invited me to a party over in the college town, and we went. And it was one of these apartment parties where you see it in the movies. You got all these guys and girls hanging out against the walls, drinking beer, just chilling. And I walked in, and it was my friend, myself, and a girl that I was I guess, I don't know, sort of dating. It wasn't really hot and heavy. We were just seeing each other. And I walk in and turn the corner, and I see this girl, and it just stopped me cold.
It was in an apartment building. I didn't really know anyone there, and I walked in with a friend of mine, and I sat down on the couch, and there was another couch across the way, and this guy was like looking at me, and he wasn't my type. He was just real preppy, player type guy, and I was just trying to avoid him.
Her eyes were incredible. I just couldn't stop thinking about her. So the whole night, I was blowing this girl off that I was with. I'm sure she could tell. I mean, I had no interest whatsoever in her.
And then all of a sudden he's like, hey. And I'm like, what? And he said, I'm not with her. Talking about the blonde to his right that he had his arm around. So I was pretty much sure that he was a player at that point and didn't want to have anything to do with him.
And it got to the end of the night, and finally I just sucked it up, turned the corner, and walked over to her and said, hey, listen, I'm not even with this girl. And that was all I could get. And she looks at me and says, so?
So I left the party, and I mean, I wasn't interested in him, but I did think it was interesting how aggressive he was. You know, so I guess I was a little attracted to how cocky he was.
But I felt like it was a huge victory because I managed to talk to her. So I go home, and then the next day, I'm still thinking about her, and I can't get her out of my head.
And I don't know, a couple of days later, he ended up at my house, and he asked me if I would go on a date with him that weekend, and he brought me some flowers.
So Liz and I began dating. We dated for about 2 years, and it was tumultuous. Incredible highs, incredible lows. It's crazy. I mean, I'm 21, she's 19. Neither one of us knew what we wanted out of life.
There was a lot of stuff going on in my home life, and I had finished 2 years of college and I wasn't going to be able to pay for going to university on my own.
She walked in the door to the front desk and she said, "Hey, I've had it."
George was closing the tanning salon, so I walked up to him and he's like, "Hey, you came to see me?" Because I lived about 10 miles away from him and I didn't have a car. And I'm like, "No, I came to say goodbye."
"I'm gone." And I go, "Fine, go." She said, "No, I'm really gone. I'm joining the Marines." Because this is the kind of thing you got to understand. Liz would say, "I'm going skydiving, I'm going to go drag racing, whatever." This is Liz. So she tells me she's going to the Marine Corps. I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. 20 minutes later, she's on a bus. She's gone.
And so I just joined the Marine Corps and left them.
I carried this girl around in my heart. As messed up as I was, as ignorant as I'd been, I carried her around in my heart. And she was writing letters back and forth to me and letting her know that she had found somebody else. And that was the end of that.
On April 30th, 2000, Sophie, Emma, and Zoe were born at Texas Women's Hospital.
They were born premature, at 24 weeks into the pregnancy.
I had some prep time because I went into labor when they were 23 weeks at home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was sent to the hospital, and so I was in labor 7 days before I delivered them, trying not to have them. The first child I held was Zoe, and it was when she was 2 months old. So, yeah, it's really hard because you're so afraid you're going to hurt them or break them somehow. But I delivered them. I was awake. They did an epidural, and I had a C-section, and there were so many doctors in the room because each baby had to have a pediatrician, a NICU doctor, all these different things. But I remember they were wheeling them by one in their incubators, and they sent me back to the room to recover, and for 2 days I just couldn't talk. I was just in shock, and I felt like I failed them by having them early, like maybe there's something I could have done. The girls are blind from a condition called retinopathy of prematurity, and I didn't find out that they were blind till about the 4th month, and I didn't find out they were deaf till they were 2 years old. And the girls are deaf from ototoxicity, which is poison to the ear, and it's caused by the combination of 2 strong antibiotics.
When Claire was born, life is overwhelming. Claire was born with CHARGE syndrome, which is an acronym for 6 different birth defects. You have to have 4 out of the 6 to be labeled. Life was very overwhelming. We had 3 normal children, whatever normal means anymore, because you have to redefine the definition of normal. And Claire was born deaf-blind.
When Christian was born, he was 3 months premature. That was 1980. And he spent 2 years at Texas Children's Hospital. He had lung problems. He had retinopathy of prematurity. And from a good guess, I think he became deaf because of antibiotic toxicity. But I cannot